Welcome, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith in for Neil Cavuto, and this is Your World. Coming up, we will speak to Republican Senator Mike Braun, a member of the Budget Committee, on whether we need this spending push. First to Kristen Fisher at the White House, where the president's team is going all out on that push. Hi, Kristen.
Hey, Sandra. Well, the president and vice president hitting the road this week to sell these two huge spending bills. The president in Virginia today, then the vice president is going to be in Wisconsin, Utah, and Nevada, and then the president will finish out the week in Louisiana. And along the way, they will be selling what these bills will actually fund, their expanded definition of the word infrastructure, and how they would pay for them. Earlier today in Norfolk, Virginia, the president doubled down on his belief that it should be paid for by the wealthiest of Americans and by corporations.
I come from the corporate capital of the world. More corporations are incorporated in the state of Delaware than all the rest of the nation combined. And I'm not anti-corporate, but it's about time they start paying their fair share.
Now, Republicans believe that increasing the corporate tax rate could very well drive many companies out of the United States. So Republicans don't like how the administration wants to pay for these huge spending bills, and they also don't like what exactly is in them, this expanded definition of the word infrastructure. But despite these huge differences between the White House and Republicans on Capitol Hill, President Biden continues to believe that the majority of Americans are behind him.
The good news is I think there's overwhelming bipartisan support for this. If you look at the polling data, Republican voters overwhelmingly support it. Now I just got to get some of my Republican colleagues to support it.
Now, we still don't have an exact date for when President Biden will meet with this next group of Republican lawmakers, but over the weekend, the White House chief of staff said that it would likely be within the next few days. So watch for that, Sandra.
Indeed. Kristen Fisher live at the White House for us. Kristen, thank you. The White House moving full steam ahead, meanwhile, with those spending plans as the president prepares to sit down with GOP lawmakers this week. But is this all for show? A headline in Politico reads, quote, Biden is talking to Republicans, but for only so long. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren earlier today saying Democrats should go it alone.
I am prepared to go to budget reconciliation. I'm somebody who thinks that the filibuster should not be used to give Republicans a veto on things that this country needs.
Senator Warren signaling she's ready to fast track the president's spending bills without any GOP support. With us now, Indiana Republican Senator Mike Braun, a member of the Budget Committee. Senator, welcome. Great to have you here. So much to ask you, but first up, you hear from the president that he wants Republicans to work with him on this. He wants to work with Republicans on this. What's the communication level been with you, for example? You sit on the Budget Committee. You're talking about $4 trillion in spending. Have you spoken with the president or his team?
So I was over at the White House a little over a month ago, but it was on supply chain issues like running out of semiconductor chips, and a whole different issue. But by and large, Democrats, when the moment is here, they seize it. And they're Madison Avenue experts in terms of marketing it. Who's not for COVID relief, for instance, when we've just come through a pandemic? Well, less than 10% of the rescue plan, COVID relief, was for COVID. Here, when it comes to the American Jobs Plan, that for infrastructure, as we know it, state legislature I was in, we made the tough decisions in 17, roads and bridges. 6% or so is in it on that. They're going to go alone on this. They're going to talk about unity and getting our ideas, but we didn't have it on the first one. This is another $2.5 trillion, and then they're going to back it up with the American Family Plan, under $2 trillion, borrowing every penny of it. And real quickly on taxes that they're talking about. Sometimes the issue for us when we cut it, we talk about it's going to be revenue neutral. Actually, it was getting close to being that because it hit the sweet spot. I come from small business. It was working. Raising taxes like they're talking about, sure, everybody wants corporations to pay their fair share. That would only cover 15% of our normal deficit annually. So a lot of smoke screen. People are going to be feeling good with all the money being spent. I'm worried about the mid and long term.
So explain that to the American people, though, because they are going to be pitched for many days. You saw that Biden kicking off his big tour of America today, where he will be pitching these plans to spend all this money. So what do you worry are the consequences of that? Because I'll point out they are doing that while we are seeing a booming American economy. Whether it's the jobs market, the Dow, as you see on your screen there, continues to hit record highs. You've got wages moving higher. So why is it that this administration wants to spend all this money when it seems things are getting better?
Well, that's a good question, because the real consequences will be felt probably post-2022, and they're calculating all this expertly, in my mind, politically. But I think it's dishonest for the American public, because inflation's had a lid on it due to global economy keeping cost push inflation down. But when you flood it this much monetarily under this new modern monetary theory, something has to give. But there'll be a sugar high from all this spending. And when you're doing it on popular things like infrastructure, child care, and all the other stuff that, sure, we need to look at it, but we're borrowing every penny to do it. And this idea of talking about paying for it with taxes, that's a smokescreen. That's not reality.
Do you acknowledge, real quick, Senator, we only have a few seconds left, but a lot of those ideas are popular with the American public?
I do acknowledge that they're popular, but if you told them that you're borrowing from your kids and grandkids, you think they'd feel that warm and fuzzy about it? No. But the nature of politics is get the headline correct, sell it. Most people end up liking it until the consequences have sunk in, and then you'd probably regret it. That's a tougher argument to make.
Senator Braun, appreciate the conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure.